Thanks again for being at our Charge Up call. Like I said, we're going to dive into the three vital questions work that Michelle Kinder introduced to us last month, and with specifically the idea around question number two. But with a quick review, the three vital questions, it's interesting, at least as I'm learning, because I am certainly not an expert in this work, but as I was putting things together and then putting the Meteor Minute articles, in the in the Meteor Minute, you know, as I'm learning, it's slowly, beginning to take more shape for me. So hopefully today will be another opportunity for you guys to um, uh, dig into this a little bit more. Three vital questions. It's about us. It's not about, it's just like with the conflict dynamics profile for those of you who have taken it. It's not about the other person, changing the other person. It's about our self-awareness and how we're showing up and how we are identifying our triggers and like I said, increasing that self-awareness. So the three vital questions, number one is where you putting your focus. Are we focused on problems or outcomes? And in the video, she'll dive into that a little bit more and review that for us. And then how are you relating? This one was I don't know about you guys. This is a little bit of an aha for me as I continued to think about it because relating, it's not only how am I relating to others? How am I actually relating to my experiences? And how am I relating to myself? It kind of broadens what the possibilities are with this work. And so, with relations with others, experiences in ourselves, are we producing drama in our lives? Are we empowering others and ourselves to be more resourceful, resilient, and innovative? And she's going to work through that video here in just a moment. Just a real quick aside, she sent 3 videos for us, and we're going to focus on video number 2, but in the Meteor Minute, I'm going to post all 3 videos if you want to dive into those a little bit more as we're learning. So I'm going to stop and share for just a second because I need to pull up the video that we're going to work through today. And it's on a loom, so I was not able to get that completely embedded. So we're going to do about 7 minutes of the video. And real quick though, before we actually start into that, grab you a notepad or something that you would like to take notes on, and kind of create a little T-chart, and so that you can have some things that you're learning, writing on one side, and then some strategies and things that you would like to remember. And we'll loop back with this whenever we are working through our breakout groups, and then at the end when we do some reflection. So little T-chart, one side my learning, the other side strategies and ideas to take forward. And then at the top, if you have something right now that you are dealing with, or you're working through, or is top of mind, or is a worry, or whatever it is, at the top, you can go ahead and jot that in. Now, you may not have anything that comes up right this moment, but it could in a little bit. So just have a spot, just kind of set of an intention, for, as I'm thinking about how I might be perpetuating drama and how I can actually be more empowering, this is something that I'd like to work on. All right, so here we go. We will get started. Like I said, this is about 7 minutes, and as soon as we get to the 7-minute mark, we're going to go back into breakout sessions and discuss. All right.
Hi there, this is Michelle Kinder, CEO of Embody
Thumbs up if you guys can hear.
EQ. And in this video, we are going to be working with the 3 vital questions transforming workplace drama, in particular, question number 2. Now, 3 vital questions is the work of David Emerald and Donna Zajan, and I'm a certified trainer. If this is of interest to you, because we're really going to just go 1 inch deep getting exposed to the 3 questions, There's a book called Three Vital Questions, and there's tons of content online for you to go deeper if you find it resonant. For today, let's review the 3 vital questions. The first one is, where are you putting your focus, which we covered in the last video. In this video, we'll tackle how are you relating, and then the last vital question is, what actions are you taking? So question number 2, how are you relating? This was born out of David Emerald's exposure to the dreaded drama triangle, which is Stephen Karpman's work from decades ago. And in the dreaded drama triangle, there are 3 roles that Karpman describes and identifies. The first is that of victim. Now, to be clear, when he's talking about victim and when David and Donna are talking about victim, they want to make a very, very specific distinction. We're not talking about someone who is in a situation where they are being victimized, domestic violence, a natural disaster. That's not what we mean when we're talking about victim and the dreaded drama triangle. It's more when we take on the identity of victimhood. That's what it would be in this scenario. The second role is that of persecutor, and the third role is that of rescuer. And we'll unpack what each of these roles looks like in just a little bit. One important thing as we're talking about the different roles in the dreaded drama triangle is to try to resist the urge of thinking about the people in your life that naturally drop into one of the 3 roles. The truth is we all cycle through the 3 roles on any given day. We might have one where we're more comfortable, maybe it's our default, but we all inhabit all of the roles. So it's most helpful to cast yourself as you're thinking about this model. And in addition to the fact that we all move through the different roles, it can even be very, very quick how we move through the roles. A brief example, if you're a supervisor and you've requested a report and the report didn't get to you on time, you might inhabit the role of victim and feel victimized by your coworker not getting their work in on time, and so you're missing a deadline. Then perhaps they get it to you and you switch to persecutor mode and how you react to them and interact with them around their tardiness. And then maybe they give you some context about why it's late, and rather than coach them into finalizing the project, you say, you know what, never mind, I'll finish it. So you become the rescuer. So in that scenario, it could literally be 90 seconds that you move from victim to persecutor to rescuer, and that's not that unusual. So know that not only do we all play all the roles, we can play them in quick succession sometimes. So victim, persecutor, rescuer. The victim feels powerless and hopeless. When we're in victim mode, we feel powerless and hopeless. There's some dream that's denied or thwarted, and we avoid engaging or taking responsibility for what we really want when we're in that victim mindset. The underlying fear of the victim is that we can't have, do, or be what we want or what we care about. The persecutor is the problem, whatever is in relationship to the victim as the problem. So it could be a person, but it's not always a person. It could be another team. It could be the weather. It could be COVID. There's all sorts of things in our life that can take the role of persecutor. When we as a person are inhabiting the persecutor role, we dominate. We have that posture. There's an energy of blaming or tearing down. And our underlying fear when we inhabit that role of persecutor is that we do not want to become the victim. So there's a little bit of kind of that if someone's going down, it's not going to be me energy. And that could be below the level of awareness or above the level of awareness. But either way, it's going to be driving the interactions and the outcomes. The rescuer acts as the pain reliever. Often the rescuer is meaning to help, but in the actions they take and the posture in which they take those actions, they're actually reinforcing the helplessness of the victim. And in this, the rescuer is also any behavior that helps the victim numb out. So it could be a person that swoops in and saves the day, invited or uninvited, or it could be alcohol, food, shopping, Netflix. There's all sorts of things that we allow to be the rescuer when we're feeling a sense of victimhood. The underlying fear of the rescuer is that we might not be needed. And so we will unconsciously generate scenarios where we feel needed, even if it means it keeps someone else stuck in a victim mindset or victim behavior.
Okay, we're going to pause right there. I want you to think about some of the things that she was saying about the dreaded drama triangle and what you're learning about yourself. If you have some examples that you feel comfortable sharing in your breakout group, but what does that look like? What does that feel like whenever you're in that? I know personally, whenever I was thinking about all of this, I can the example that she had, do all three of them like in 90 minutes. And so it's a really good activity to be kind of thinking about your triggers and your hot buttons whenever we look at it from this lens. So I'm going to go ahead and put everybody back into breakout rooms. And here, okay, welcome back. It looks like there was some deep conversations happening. We went to the very end there. Welcome back. We're going to, so we've talked about the dreaded drama triangle with persecutor, rescuer, and victim. And now she's going to do a little bit of a quick connect on focusing on the problem versus the outcome. And then we'll go into the empowerment triad. So this one's a little bit longer. So here we go.
So we've talked about the problem cycle and the outcome cycle in the last video when we were talking about the first vital question, where do you put your focus, on the problem or on the outcome? What you'll notice on this slide is it just, in a way, overlays victim and creator onto those two cycles. So the problem or victim cycle is focus on the problem, drives an inner state of anxiety, makes us reactive. As David was studying this and studying his work with leaders related to the dreaded drama triangle, it became clear to him that there had to be some sort of invitation, some sort of antidote, a way of inviting people into inhabiting other roles that would get them the outcomes they were seeking, instead of just being in a cyclical nightmare of cycling through victim, rescuer, persecutor, problem, anxiety, reactivity. And that is the outcome cycle or the creator cycle, where you focus on the vision or outcome, which drives an inner state of passion, which then illuminates your next steps or your baby steps. So let's take a look at those three roles, the three roles in the empowerment dynamic, which is the alternative to the drama triangle. The alternative to our victim mindset would be that of a creator mindset. The alternative to persecutor would be that of a challenger. And the alternative to rescuer would be that of a coach. So let's take a look at those roles. A creator claims power to choose and respond. So rather than feeling like things are happening to them, they acknowledge the contextual factors happening, but there's a sense of, in the face of this, how do I want to handle it and how do I want to move forward to my preferred outcome or preferred future? There's that focus again on outcomes instead of problems. And there's a spirit of I can do it or we can do it. The challenger calls forth learning and growth. So that does not always come across like super soft or handholdy. It can feel, as the name indicates, challenging in the same way that a persecutor might feel challenging. But it's very different because the intent is very different behind how the challenger shows up with hard truths versus how the persecutor shows up with hard truths. The challenger is going to point things out toward the end of someone learning and growing and provoking or evoking action. Remember that the persecutor, there's a sense of dominance, blaming. If someone's going down, it's not going to be me. So the challenger doesn't have that energy, even though they might be saying some of the same hard truths. Those truths come across with the absence of blame and judgment. And there's a learning intent versus a looking good intent. So if I'm showing up with a colleague as a challenger, it's my desire to move the team forward, to move that person forward, to move myself forward in terms of us learning, versus I'm going to exercise power here so that I look good, even if it means having to step on someone else. And the energy for the challenger is you can do it, a belief in the person you are supporting as the creator. The coach in this model supports and assists as opposed to rescues. So there's a lot of asking, clarifying, curious questions. There's listening deeply with curiosity, with a generosity of spirit, and holding people accountable with committed action. For example, if someone says, I can get you that report by 4 o'clock on Tuesday, a coach would ask the kinds of questions or put parameters in place to make sure that's real clear between and among all parties, and you can get to that committed action. And the energy for the coach is, how will you do it? The challenger, I know you can do it. The coach, how will you do it? So that partnership of, I'm going to show up for you in a way that holds space where you and your natural brilliance can shine. A key question in this model and this movement from the dreaded drama triangle to the empowerment dynamic is, how are you seeing the other person? If you are in a relationship at work or at home where you see the other person as a victim and you can't shake that, it will be virtually impossible for you to show up as a challenger or a coach. So we have to hold ourselves accountable to seeing the other person as a creator in order to move the energy of the whole interaction over to the empowerment dynamic instead of trying to have one foot in each. So to sum it up, here are each of the shifts and the central question and the essential shift related to them. The first is, if we're shifting from victim to creator, our central question is, what do I want? Remember, that helps us move from that problem victim cycle to the creator outcome cycle. What do I really want? What is the outcome I'm looking for? What's my preferred future related to this issue? And the essential shift is that you're moving from that reactivity that's designed to minimize the inner state of anxiety that you've been carrying to an energy of choosing and taking action. The second shift is that of persecutor to challenger. And the central question is, what is my intention? Am I intending to support growth and learning, or am I intending to just keep the upper hand? The shift is from putting down to building up and learning, or from controlling to compassion. And then the third is from rescuer to coach. The central question is, how am I seeing the other person? Am I seeing the other person as a victim? Then I'm going to keep showing up as a rescuer. Am I seeing the other person as a fellow creator? Then I can show up as an effective coach. It's a shift from telling to asking, and from fixing to loosening your grip, letting go a little on some of the things that that may be driving your need to control the situation. If you're too invested in precise outcomes instead of giving the project, the person, the situation a little room to breathe. So I like this graphic that David and Emerald created to illustrate the choice point. So they would say, David would say, we are always at choice. At any point in the day, we can stop and notice which of these we might be acting out of or inhabiting, and we can make a choice to move from the dreaded drama triangle roles to the empowerment dynamic roles. If I'm in victim mindset, I can stop myself, notice what I'm doing, and then ask, what do I really want? Which is that choice point, which will push me into that creator space. We can do that all day long, every day. I've been working with this material now for, I think, a decade, and I take the win of being on the path. This is not something that you master and you're done. It's just, can you get as aware as possible and commit yourself to noticing how you're showing up, how it's impacting the people around you, and what alternative way you might show up that would support the outcomes you're trying to work toward. At this point, they share this pause practice, which is to pause, ground yourself, just center, and then choose. So it's an opportunity to really notice, where am I? What role might I be inhabiting? And how do I want to move forward?
All right, so we're going to stop there. And so in your breakout rooms, discuss a couple of things that's resonating with you as a leader, from the things they were talking about as far as being, a coach, a challenger, a creator, all of those sorts of things. And then specifically to that choice point of where we can delay our response, we can pause, we can ground ourselves. How does that work, or what are you working on in regards to some of that? So we're going to go back into our last breakout room and have a discussion about this last part of the material. So we're only going to go couple minutes past our gap, but I want to share a couple of resources with you all as we finish up here. Michelle has been so kind and so gracious and generous with her materials. So, like I said, each one of these of the questions, I'm linking that in the Meteor Minute. There's other resources on the leadership development site. And then she also has shared a leadership practice log. And these are just examples. And I thought it was a real cool way to take a look at some of the application, because theory and ideas and all of these things are really great. But, what can we do with this in a couple of minutes or tomorrow? So this is a leadership practice log that she shared with us. This is the top part. So just some ideas, at the very top with that grayed out area, this is the victim, the persecutor, the rescuer, the problem. This is the complaint and the frustration. It's the trigger, the hot button, all of those things that we know that happen to us all day long, and there's no right or wrong about it. It just happens. But the number one thing we need to do is, as leaders, is increase that self-awareness. So when we know we are triggered, then we can do something productive about it. So then she go to the middle part here is that shift from this is a problem to actually what is the outcome? What do I really want? What am I committed to? And shifting those complaints to actual outcomes. And then the final one is then thinking about creator, challenger, and coach. Now, what am I going to do next time? What will I do differently? What's a little step that I can do differently here, or next, not maybe not even next time, but what can I do next? So here's an example that she provides. It's very simple, but it happens. So on the 1114 line, I feel like I'm getting the cold shoulder from one of my executives because he does not like some of my new ideas. I can't decide if I should confront him about it or let it go. So this person's been triggered. There's a problem. The middle one, to maintain what is the what does this person really want to maintain an effective working environment and push through the reluctance to engage in conflict? Because as we all know, avoiding conflict is probably the number one way that we, as a group, deal with it. So then you shift the third part into actually, okay, what's the creator, challenger, coach action that I could take? So sit down, discuss the issue in a calm, professional manner during the next one-on-one. Emphasize listening, staying curious, asking open-ended questions as a coach. So this is just one example, and Lisa's going to put a link into the chat here in a second of all the rest of the examples that she provided, if you want to grab that and take a look at it just to see some of the other ways that in which this work can be applied. So finally, take a look at your notes. If you took anything, circle a couple of things that resonate or some things that you can take forward. I'm going to leave you with a quote, and then we're going to do a quick Slido. So the quote is, embrace life as a learning laboratory, where every experience becomes a powerful catalyst for increased self-awareness and enhanced leadership effectiveness. So grab your phone. And if you could, real quickly, this is anonymous. So just jot something, take the QR code and jot something like, what did you learn today that will help you tomorrow or maybe in the next 30 minutes? What is it, something that was just something that you could try, something that was helpful, something to reflect on? So we'll see how our different groups had some takeaways here. Got 10 people typing. Choice points, yes, because there can be some great things that happen in that choice point. Using the log will be helpful. Pause, ground, center, choose. Remember to pause and center myself. There is always an at choice moment. Always is. I love that. Pause, ground, center, and choose. Yes. Ask more questions to see what I need to be. Awareness of how you see the other person. Yes, that's powerful. Think and consider all aspects of the drama triangle. Give space to let them succeed. Not to cast others, yes, but to cast ourselves. So hard to do, but so necessary. Pause, ground, center. Don't hold anyone into a specific drama role. Pause and ask more questions. Ask thought-provoking questions to my team rather than simply assigning a task so they can think critically. Very nice. The TED graph, focus on outcomes instead of problems. All right, we got one more. Looks like one more person's typing. Or maybe that was it. Okay. Well, I hope you were able to find a little nugget that's going to help you like I said, in the next 30 minutes or next week. And so thanks for being here today. Like I said, all the resources will be on the leadership development site and in the Meteor Minute. And again, I'm not an expert, but if anybody wants to stay on for their gap, it looks like now 11 minutes, you're welcome to sit and chat. Otherwise, have a great Friday and a great weekend. Thank you, guys.